Hello, nerds. Welcome to GeekBeast, part of the Geekish Network. This is your daily rundown of geek news by geeks like you. You new to our show, we cover the geek news beat and share our opinions. I'm your host, Chuck. With me, we got two co-hosts today. We have Randy. Say what's up to people, Randy.
What's up, Geek Beast?
And for all you all that are unfamiliar, we have Carl, aka Dafunk, coming in. Say what's up to everybody, Dafunk.
Hey, y'all, long time no see.
No, it's been a while since we had you on the show. I'm going to go into the first news article, you guys. We're going to talk about this Hollywood executive order that just came out. And for y'all that didn't know, Donald Trump has signed an executive order, actually sponsored by the ambassador of Hollywood, John Voight, on how to tariff 100% of films if any part of them are made outside the country. Now, my question to you all is this
hmm
tariff going to bring jobs back to Hollywood? Because apparently it's going to bring jobs back to America. America.
So
Go ahead, Carl. Eh,
I don't know that there are many non-indie level movies that are exclusively made in the US, right?
Yes.
So of course you've got a lot of stuff that films on location because oh, you got to be in Rome, you got to be in Switzerland, you got to be in Japan or whatever. But of course, a lot of those sets you could make, in a
Hmm.
soundstage or whatever. But then a lot of filming happens in like Vancouver to be any town USA, right? But
Hmm.
aside from like filming location, you got a lot of other services that have been
Hmm.
happen overseas. So like subtitling, a lot of music orchestration,
Hmm.
uh, visual effects, of course.
Hmm.
Like just
Sound
stay
Animation.
at the
effects.
end of any movie and just look at all those companies. So just like with many things in our new economic plans, I think things have not been thought through. That being said, in general, I agree that it would be nice to have more of the stuff happen here. But with
Hmm.
globalization, the incentive packages are just so much more nice overseas. We used to have a lot of tax incentives here in the U.S. Here in Florida, the
Hmm.
film tax incentive program used to also extend to video games, right?
Hmm.
So when we were working here, they take our driver's license to make sure you're a Florida resident. That's good for the company, and that means we can hire more people. So this is working at things from there's that side of offering incentives using state money, government or federal money to like attract people here, but unless you're going to follow up the threat of punishing foreign produced stuff, then then that's all you have is a threat of like you better do things here or else it'll be bad for you. Not that it'll be better for you, it'll be bad for you if you don't do things here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really
Well, I think it's
interesting.
impossible. And the reason that I think it's impossible because what you're going to do is going to get into where lawyers are going to be parceling everything out. Because if you're seeing 100% of everything, that's
Yes.
almost impossible in this environment that we have. We don't even have infrastructure for certain things, and lots of animation is done abroad and things like that. So if you say if any part of this film is done across in another country, then it's going to be restrictive or introduced to tariffs. Then if you try to make exceptions, then your lawyers are going to be creating language and loopholes and things like
Mm.
that. So a whole mess is going to come out of this, and nothing is good is going to come out of it.
That's what I said. I am double down on what both of you all have said. What happens when you have a company like Magnum Opus who does visual effects and they're headquartered in London, but they have like 15 buildings here in America, all across America, doing visual effects. And then they hire some guy out of Russia to do some
Yeah.
visual effects on contract. What does that do? I mean, it makes us have to create an auditing department,
Yeah.
and you got to staff it with thousands of people
But
to
the
go through
lawyers are
all
going
the
to create that.
contract,
Yeah.
go through
That
all the contracts. You have to scour the ISPs because it's all digital media now. It's not like films are moving across seas. I think Donald Trump is stuck in an era like
Right.
where things are physical and coal mining means something and all these other industries that we don't use mean something.
Or how about this? Let's say everything is made here in the US. It's filmed here. It's visual effects, music, written, blah, 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 blah. What about the actors? Do the actors have to be US citizens in order to not
Exactly.
get punished?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the idea,
Or
Yeah.
right?
what if like
That's the idea.
software is made in another country to
Yeah.
help create something, a new
Sure.
Yeah.
technology for something? Like
Yeah.
it's so complicated. You cannot do this.
Yeah.
Like
And then
I don't know. Go ahead.
any law that you create, any law, they're going to work to navigate around it to make it as economically feasible and advantageous to them. So it's going to defeat the whole purpose of it anyway. It's not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
And
funny thing, like the GOP likes to say that they're for deregulation, but they wind up doing that through government means, and like Chuck alluded to, requires auditing. So this actually creates a
Right.
larger government involvement.
What you're saying, you're trying to scale back or more. You got rid of the whole IRS, so now you're going to create a new department
yeah, for
for the
auditing
movie
films.
for the film industry. Like, come on.
Somebody brought up to this in one of my chats on Discord that said this is probably him attacking Netflix for creating the American Dream documentary, which is about him and it exposes him.
Maybe. I know
He's
Amazon,
that
Bezos
vindictive.
isn't directly involved with Amazon, but there's word that they got production deals for non-Donald Trump family members to get
Hmm.
features for them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I mean they the Trump family's working right now.
yeah.
They
And
got they got they got palaces going up in Saudi Arabia, palace hotels and stuff going up in Qatar and Dubai. The Donald Trump Dubai hotel. They're working, boy. They're putting in a lot of work right now. It's
and
crazy.
I don't want to like try to say that I'm against American jobs or film industry having
Hmm.
positions in America. That I'm
Hmm.
not. But the way the system is designed, which they've spent the last 50 years offshoring and doing things
Mm-hmm.
like that and globalization. They spent the last 50 years creating globalization for you to come in and try to take it apart. It's
The funny thing
it's not
is, like,
feasible.
I predicted that this current regime was the reintroduction of robber barons, but on the flip side of that coin, I also predicted that a lot of the economic plans and other plans were going to be so hurtful to big business that it would be the robber barons who would come to save the general American people. And I think that's going to happen here again. Like, as we've
Yes.
seen with the pushback on the tariffs and what happened with Amazon and that sort of thing. It's real funny that I think our savior will be big business, the billionaires.
Like
Uh, Tuan Solo
what if the
said in
car
the chat, he labeled this a national security threat.
It's ridiculous. Like, what if all the cars are made by B? What if all the cars are made by BMW or Mercedes Benz
Well,
No.
that's
for
also
film?
funny because a lot of like
Uh,
the
or like they
cars that are
use
assembled here in the US are foreign brands thanks to globalization.
right,
Like the capitalists have decided that I can get more for my money by having the labor and production performed overseas
Hmm.
where it's cheaper, right?
Hmm.
So
or
That's him.
or if
That's
you
how
have
Teslas
Ford
are made.
cars and the Ford cars are made in Mexico
yep,
or GM cars they're made in Mexico, is that an American company or is that a Ford company? Because the parts and assembly is done in another country.
yeah,
So what
Yeah.
are we defining this?
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's real
Yeah.
twisted. Like me
Yeah,
personally,
Yeah.
I say if you want to support the American, what matters is I can take the dollar that I earn at work and use it to pay for my home and use it to pay for my food. That's everything that matters. And so where I personally come down on this matter is support the American worker.
yeah,
Like we
absolutely.
give them jobs and things might get complicated from there, but
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is silly.
we
Yeah.
just need to make sure that our people, our neighbors get paid so that they can survive and thrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now we're sitting in LA, in Long Beach, the ports are sitting empty.
Yeah.
And what makes it bad is China was like, y'all were electing president. And we knew this was coming because he's been saying it since he's been running for the last 3 years. And what we did was create deals with all the countries. We could cut y'all out the equation,
It's
you
uniting
know?
the globe.
Yeah, it's
Thank,
rewriting the
thank you,
globe.
Donnie T. Uniting the
Yep.
globe.
Yep. Like the world
Nobel
was
Peace
okay
Prize.
because they were on the American dollar to send
Oh,
everything to America, then we redistributed back out into the world. They were okay with that because it was a marketplace. Now he shut down the marketplace.
yeah.
It's crazy. It's
He's
like it's like you can't have people shop at the mall if you ain't letting trucks dock in the back of the docks to unload
You
stuff
got
to sell to
nothing to
people.
sell,
You got nothing to
and you
sell.
got no money to spend. What are we
an
Yeah.
doing?
old
What are
senile
we?
man that doesn't know how the world works.
Yeah. But anyway, but Hollywood, like Donald thinks they're moving film, and people are like, "How's he going to track digital files? Understand these files are huge." Um, Rodney had a job of monitoring moving digital files around, and the security go behind that.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine how they plan on tracking that
Right. They'd have to create a whole new bureaucracy just to do that.
just to do it, just to do it. And them saying that that's what we're going to do is
It,
crazy.
it would spend more money trying to reinforce it than the benefits would create.
That
Yes,
happens a lot.
it does happen a lot. When it was a lot easier. Like he was willing, he cut over the workforce in the federal government is only 4% of all the federal government. You cut 4%, and they bring in more money.
Right.
They bring in what they're worth. So yeah, but I think this might be a attack against Netflix. Netflix is 1/3 of their catalog is from foreign films
Mhm.
and foreign creatives. So to distribute that in America, I can put a tariff on every Netflix account for every film up there.
And it could
Sintel in
be.
the chat is saying if this happens, Netflix is effed. So this is going to be a new surcharge
Yep.
fee that we won't be allowed to list on our bill.
Yeah. 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 That Netflix and Crunchyroll are done.
Well, and having impacts on Netflix would hurt Hollywood way more than any production that's done outside of it. Those are
Yes.
real, real American jobs.
See, here's the thing.
Yes.
You're thinking big picture. What does this matter?
Yeah.
What affects Donnie T?
Yeah. What
You're
affects
like, here
Donnie
you come
T?
with all your
They made a
logic and big
documentary.
picture stuff. I got you. I got
They
you.
made a documentary against him called The American Dream and exposed who he really was and how he behaves. So this is my get back. This is my lick back.
I
And
just,
he's
I,
vindictive.
and I don't see it going anywhere because who's going to fund this damn enterprise?
Yeah. 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 He signed so many executive orders we don't
Right,
know. It's
right.
but they're all distractions, right? We know they're
That's
all
all they are
distractions.
because they're not funded. Most of those things aren't funded.
Or if he
Hmm.
wants to talk about trade deficits, I think we sell more motion pictures than we buy to import.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Everybody except one company.
But
Well, one and a half companies, because Amazon does a good job of importing foreign films too.
yeah, but still.
Yeah.
And Hollywood, like, and most studios, a big portion of their profits are from foreign rights, what they sell,
Yes.
Mhm.
foreign
Hmm.
rights.
Hmm.
Disney don't want nobody messing with their foreign distribution. I can guarantee you
I
that.
guarantee that.
No.
And this
You
is
start telling them you're gonna put a tariff on the Avengers movies? Come on now. Where Avengers gonna be more expensive? Yeah, come on.
yep. Yep.
You're not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And how does that translate into other things like video games? Because it's going to translate over, and it's going to translate into sports. You're going to say the NBA can't send the players out to China to play basketball anymore?
Or NBA players who aren't citizens, can they not play?
Yep,
Do you got to pay more money to go to a Laker game because Luca's not a citizen?
that's true.
That job could have went to an American
Oh man,
or
yeah,
Joker. Be like,
Joker.
nah,
Yep, yep.
it's
That is true.
it's ridiculous.
All of what you're saying is true. That means MLB will be dead,
Dead.
dead.
Well, they were already threatening deportation and detainment during the World Cup press conference today or
That's true.
yesterday.
That's true. That's true. The World Cup's coming to America. What does that do for it? The Olympics are coming here. What does that do
Right.
for the Olympics?
Right.
People don't think things through. Does anybody sit? There has to be somebody in Washington, D.C. that's part of this cabinet that says, has
No,
anybody thought this through?
there were during the first administration. and then they were roadblocks, so they're not allowed back in.
That's true. Stephen
And
Miller's still there. He should say something.
Stephen Miller
What?
said
He's the
Stephen Miller,
problem.
he's loyal. That's the
Yeah,
loyalist.
he's
He's the
loyal.
one behind the driver's seat.
Right,
He is the
right.
one behind the driver's seat.
Yeah.
You think he would say something though? Like he would think, we got all these other. He's attacking all of Americans' big business.
Yeah.
America owns sports, professional sports.
America
He owns
spent the
every
last
professional
70
sport but
years
one, but
committed
two.
to globalization and offshoring and trade. And now you're
Yep.
coming in and trying to say, oh no, you can't do that.
It's so crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. But let's go to the more fun topic for
Yeah,
today, you
let's hop
guys.
on this
Let's
topic.
go on the more fun topic. If y'all didn't know, we had Defunct on the show. The whole reason he's here is because he went to Epic Universe. And we're gonna drill him with questions. So that's people in the chat as well. If y'all don't know, for our show, you can be in our chat and we can answer questions for you. We're
And we
gonna
got
talk about
Centel in the chat. He
we
came
got
through in the chat.
Centel. We
We
got
got
Mark in the
Mark.
chat.
Yeah.
We got Twan Solo in the chat. Y'all should
Mm-hmm,
tell the
mm-hmm.
people to come in the chat because the funk, aka Carl, is going to
My alias is my name, huh?
your
Okay,
alias
okay.
is your name. Is going to tell us everything about Epic Uniform in Universe. That's what's out there right now. It's incomplete part, but he's going to tell us everything he's experienced. So first things first, Defunct. I know you love amusement parks.
Yes, I do.
Um, and you've been to all of them in Florida.
That's not true, but
It,
Orlando.
uh, uh, all the major ones in
Yeah, yeah,
Orlando,
yeah,
in the
yeah,
Florida,
yeah, yeah.
including Busch Gardens,
Uh-huh. Including Busch Gardens. That's been a
including Busch
while,
Gardens.
but yeah, the Disney parks, the Universal parks,
Mm-hmm.
SeaWorld, Busch
Mm-hmm.
Gardens, Legoland. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. See, all the parks. The only park he doesn't go to often is Miami. It's a
Wait,
different type of theme park.
yeah, different. No,
uh,
that's
uh,
madness. I met Evander Holyfield in Miami. Shook his hand.
see, even Miami's theme park. Uh, uh, the fun. What was it like when you went to Epic Universe? What were you expecting,
well,
first of all?
well, first of all, let's talk about for the people who may
Maybe
not know what
introduce
is
Epic.
Epic.
What is Epic
What
Universe?
is Epic Universe?
All right. So depending on who you ask, it is either the fourth or the third theme park for Universal Studios here in Orlando. So you've got the Universal Studios, which is the Hollywood themed one, Islands of Adventure, which
Mm-hmm.
is the more thrill ride oriented one that opened what late 90s or
Like
so.
90s. Mm-hmm.
Then they've got Volcano Bay, which is their water park. They call that the third theme park. And then Epic Universe is a brand new one.
Mm-hmm.
Official grand opening is May 22nd. This one covers 5 lands, but 4 IPs. So that's Celestial Park, which is a like space fantasy type theme. Astrology, that type of thing. You got Super Nintendo World. So, of course, Super Nintendo World exists already in Osaka and in Hollywood. This one is the biggest of the three because Orlando, Florida, is just blessed with size, blessed with land. You've got Dark Universe. So they brought back that name after the failure to launch the movie franchise. So that covers the Universal monsters, going back to what the 20s, the 30s, right? Some of
Mm-hmm.
the original black and white films that Universal ever put out.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, which is kind of weird because the land is themed after Paris, but the ride is in London. So
What?
there's
Hey,
some
it's magical.
shenanigans
It's
going on there.
magical. It's magic. You can do that in Harry Potter's
Yeah,
world.
sure. Okay. And then the other
Do
one
that.
is Isle of Burke, which honestly, I think that's the best one of the whole park.
Mm.
And as like a stage show, stagecraft fan, I think it's got the best thing in the park, especially if you are not a roller coaster fanatic.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, let's open up the floor for questions. Let's
Okay.
see.
First
How you doing,
question.
Centel? Yep.
First question. How many rides did you ride when you went there?
I didn't count. I got on the majority of the thrill rides.
Okay.
I was unable to go on the Ministry of Magic because that one had a virtual queue. And if you were not lucky in the first minute of the 3 drops throughout the day that they did, then you are not getting on that ride. And in
Okay.
fact, it shut down until park opening now. So not too many people got to ride that, even for the extended previews for
Okay.
like team members and annual pass holders and whatever. But let's see, how many rides? Most of them. Let's just say most of them. I didn't keep
Okay.
a specific tally. But if you want to like talk about the rides, maybe we open up a
Yes.
list somewhere and then we can go through them. But
Yes.
or we can go through by land, maybe.
Let's go up a little about land.
All right. So I
Land.
guess let's
Yeah.
go in order in the way that I went.
First, tell us about your day. Like, what'd you do each day, and then you can talk about the rides.
All
Because
right.
you
I
might have got
only
some popcorn. You might have done
okay,
this.
okay.
Might went to the shop,
So
and
how
then I
many
hopped
days
on
were
the
you there
ride.
then? Just
I
one
only went the one day,
one day.
and this
Okay.
was from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Actually, the park closed at 9, but I was in line for one last ride, and then I got through that. So yeah, I went solo so that I could power walk around the
Mm-hmm.
places. I didn't do too much dilly dallying. I tried to just do really quick meals so that I could ride the rides because I knew that once the park opened, those lines were going to double or triple or quadruple. Like they're saying the Ministry of Magic queue can hold 7 hours worth of people. That's a whole day.
Jesus, that is
Yeah,
That's
a
a whole
whole
easily.
day.
day.
Easily.
So that's crazy. That is absolute crazy. Let's see. Dragonborn is asking about, let's see, how was the Dark Universe ride? So that is
Mm-hmm.
where I started. Funny enough, uh, I started in the land that you should go to at night, first thing in the daytime. So I rode the Frankenstein ride, Monsters Unchained. So this is being pitched as like the next level dark ride with the most advanced animatronics. For those who aren't who don't know the vernacular, dark ride is like the traditional Disney ride of you sit in a car and it goes through a dark warehouse with
Warehouse.
vignettes
Mm-hmm.
around you, with scenes around you, right? So this one was cool, but I left whelmed. So what's funny is they it's promoted by some people as like the scariest thing that you'll ever ride. I think it's actually less cruel than the Harry Potter ride, the similar ride, Forbidden Journey. So this ride system is a Kuka arm, which is a robot arm, and you've got seats on top. So that allows it like free movement in and out, up and down, twisty,
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of stuff there. But they don't shove you claustrophobically as close to some things as possible. The animatronics were really cool. Speaking as someone who's a fan of these things, I still think a lot of human uh, animatronics have some ways to go, but the illusion's certainly there for the majority of them. You're traveling through the catacombs. Victoria Frankenstein, daughter of Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein, now is running the show. She's captured all of the Universal monsters, and she's going to double capture Dracula. I don't know. She's doing some
Mm-hmm.
experiment with Dracula, but he gets
Mm-hmm.
loose. So he's unleashing all the other monsters unleashed. So as you're traveling to the catacombs, oh no, I'm shoved towards the Phantom of the Opera and it's really hot, real flames. I'm pointed down at the creature from the Black Lagoon, Gilman, and all the other monsters. Uh, this is during technical rehearsal, which is to say pre-opening. I think some of
Mm-hmm.
my animatronics weren't working. So
Okay.
some of them were just in their
Mm.
pose, but not like swiping or sort of stuff. But
Okay.
they've got them. We've got a lot of floating characters, jumping characters. So they got them on arms to like push them towards you. So not only you taking your ride vehicle and going
Yeah.
towards like the
Okay.
scenery, but some of them are jumping out at you. Those are real cool. The real highlight for this for me though is the screen technology. So Universal has been largely criticized for being very screen dependent. So you think of things like the Spider-Man ride, the Transformers ride, a lot of the motion simulators where you're sitting in a theater and your seats are bucking up and down and that sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And this certainly uses a lot of screens, but it does a very good job of fixing the ratio between the physical set pieces and
Okay.
animatronics and the
Okay.
screens. But what I love about the screens, okay, these are the ultra, most ultra highest dynamic range things. So it it's crystal clear what you're looking at,
Mm,
and like a lot of the lighting effects are blinding while keeping the contrast of the darkness down. So like
Mm.
you get that shock effect of the sparks and the flames and the fire as things are happening on the screen. And there's even some multiplanar stuff, like if you've
okay.
been on
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say they have to ghost.
Avatar Pin River journey,
Hmm.
you'll see like there's like a background screen and then a translucent layer where there's something that's happening in the middle. But as a technology geek, my favorite screen is in the queue. So before you get onto the ride, well, actually, there's two things in the queue that I love. There's one where there's this transparent screen that's scanning up and down the Frankenstein monster's body, showing an X-ray of them, but it's translucent, so you can see past, the graphics of the X-ray as it's overlaid over his body. But then there's another one there where it's sort of the holding cell for the Dracula bat as he's being zapped by electricity, and it's actually glasses-free stereoscopic 3D, so you get
Mm,
a sense of depth of the character. You're not wearing
Mm.
3D glasses. In
hmm.
fact, the only
Mm.
3D glasses I wore uh, in the whole park was the augmented reality ones for Mario Kart.
Mario Kart. Hmm.
Yeah. So that's cool. You're shoved around, but it's more gentle than Forbidden Journey. If anyone wants to use that as a reference, if everybody knows the Forbidden Journey, um, it's certainly more frenetic than Haunted Mansion at Disney, right? But I would say it is scarier or creepier or more grisly in the queue itself rather than what's happening in the ride.
I
So
have
I
a
don't know.
question. Um, are there any of the animatronics or the screens? Are they interactive with the guests? Like, can a guest talk to them or interact with them in any way?
No. But
Okay.
then in the pre-show where Victoria Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster Junior, it's a second generation monster. They talk at the audience, and as you're walking, they'll wave bye to you. So, that's
Okay.
not like true interactivity, but it is engagement, direct engagement with the audience there.
Okay.
Rather
Okay.
than I'm a video in a wall talking at the world rather than,
Yeah.
talking to
Okay.
you specifically.
Yeah, I was wondering if they made eye contact, looked at you, and they were
Mhm.
responding back to you.
Oh, one of the things I will say that I really liked is like I was standing right under Victoria Frankenstein, like the musculature, like the skin over like the cheeks as she
Mhm.
moved. That seemed like a next generation thing compared to a
Okay.
lot of previous animatronics. It's I would say it's very geek friendly if you're like hyper fixated on the technology that drives the stuff, and that personally for me is what I appreciated more, the technology of it rather than the whole of the ride. So one could argue I was disappointed by it, but I was like, it's a fine ride.
Okay.
But
So
this is also the world that I'm in, so I'm a little more critical than most people.
was the tech better in this park than the other parks?
Of course, because it is the
Mm.
newest, and they
Mm.
splash the cash for it. Like that's the
Okay.
short answer.
I have another question. Are the screens in this one theater, are they better than the Jason Bourne screens? Because those screens are nice too.
Those are phenomenal screens.
Mm-hmm.
That is lifelike screens. I would say they're the same or better. Like the Jason
Okay.
Bourne ones are a little
Oh
bit different
wow.
because of the scale of them. Like they
Mm-hmm.
are the whole wall,
The whole wall.
IMAX
Mm-hmm.
size, but they are crystal clear. I don't think that the Jason Bourne screens, whether it's the content or the technology, have use as much high dynamic range as
Okay.
Monsters Unchained does.
Okay. So where'd you go after this ride? You hopped off
Um,
this ride and you're like, I'm done.
I hopped off this ride and I had heard good things about the show, so I hightailed it over to Paris to watch Le Cirque Arcanu, which is a stage show. Um, for some background, I am one of the handful of people who loved Poseidon's Journey at Islands of Adventure, which is sort of a walkthrough theater show with a lot of practical special effects. So, a lot of water effects, fire, lasers, screens, and live actors there. So, the premise for Le Cirque Arcanu is there's a circus and there's arcanum, so magic because it's Harry Potter world. There's similar to Poseidon's Journey, there are multiple stages at which the show happens. So, uh, of course, you've got the queue, and then there's some nice things to look at. But then you enter into one room, and then this is where the first magic tricks happen. They do a lot of live person actors talking and interacting with things on the screen, but there's also some cool magic tricks that they do. If you're versed in magic, you know how they did them, but it's still real cool to see them pretty up close there. And then they open the doors to the actual theater. You sit down, and this is one thing where I think there's a little bit of weakness here. Like, they go through more acrobatics and magic show stuff, but it's a bit underwhelming. But I think that's a deliberate choice to establish the contrast between that relatively mundane, you've seen this a bunch before, kind of human stuff, to the big magical reveal where we see so this is a fantastic creatures land, so it's not like
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter, Ron,
Mm.
Hermione type thing. It's the um fantastic
Fantastic.
creature stuff.
Yep.
So then a mishap is established in the earlier show, and then it plays out here. There's a real cool stage changing thing, but not as nice as some of the other stage shows I've seen around Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a real crowd pleaser for the people who like cute creatures.
Okay.
And this is one where you've got a lot of people in costume. You got some robotics.
Mm-hmm.
You've got, again, those high def screens
Mm-hmm.
happening there. I think this one is cool, but it's not my favorite of the two shows. But as I sort of alluded to earlier,
Mm-hmm.
there's not a lot of non-thrill ride stuff in the park. So, if you've got family members or friends who don't love roller coasters or don't like get shaken around, this and the one in Isle of Berk, the How to Train Your Dragons one, I think are the two things that they would want to do. But for me
Okay.
personally, I think those are overall highlights of the park, even as someone who does love roller coasters.
Okay.
About how long was the show?
The show, I would say, is about 30 minutes,
Oh, wow.
or
And
20-ish minutes,
Okay.
30 back to back. So you've got the piling into the room, stuffing everyone in, and then there's some jabber going on. You've got the first act that's in that first staging room, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have to get everyone seated for the next stage of the show. So if we're counting
Okay.
waiting time, it's like 30 minutes. All in all, while you're going through the line, I would say 45 minutes to an hour commitment of
Okay.
walking in the door and then walking out at the end.
Okay.
is
I'm
that
curious.
standard? I'm just curious. Is that standard for?
This one's a little bit long because it's multiple holding areas. A lot of the other ones have a queue and then one big theater. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to pile people in, wait for that to happen, and then go watch a thing and then pile people in a second place. So the multiple rooms does add to the overall duration.
Okay.
And again, no 3D glasses, a lot of physical stuff happening. I need to emphasize that. I think a lot of people got tired of 3D glasses. I'm still a 3D fanatic, but
Mm-hmm.
there was only one thing in this park that had 3D glasses, and it was the Mario Kart ride.
Okay. Let's talk about that because they did a splash in LA for the Mario Park, and now they have a new one, the
Yep.
new Super Nintendo Land in
This
Florida, which is the biggest.
this is the biggest one. So LA is the smallest. That one
Mm-hmm.
only has the Mario Kart ride and the play park area where you're
Mm-hmm.
interacting with the blocks and the video games on the screen, that sort of thing. But then in Japan and in Orlando, they also have a Yoshi People
Mm-hmm.
Mover ride and the Donkey Kong minecart. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm not going to spend too long on Mario Kart because that's been around for a couple of years now. What I will say is now that I finally got my hands and my eyes on the final product, I think unless you are a hardcore gamer and you buy the power up band to keep coming back and try to rack up score, don't bother like engaging with the game. Just look through the glasses and appreciate all of the beautiful
Mm-hmm.
live dark ride set decoration and the screen stuff happening, because
Okay.
you're really talking about stuff that's happening in front of you, which is you shooting your shells at the Koopalings, and then you've got the stuff behind that. And I think for most people, just watch the stuff behind, and there's a lot to
Mm-hmm.
love there.
Mm-hmm.
The Yoshi ride, this one, the queue is beautiful. It's so adorable. It's so charming, but it's a people mover, but it's got more stuff to look at than the Disney people mover. And I think more than was at the Seuss Landing. So it's enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slow ride. Unlike those, they lock you in with a roller coaster style lap bar. They really do not want you to get out of that cart or to move around because it's
Mm-hmm.
elevated. The others are
Mm-hmm.
elevated as well, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This one's more secure.
They don't like
Uh,
jumping off the edge of the people mover.
they don't want you to do that. They don't want you touching the
Mm.
animatronics,
No, they don't want you
but
doing
it's
that.
pleasant. And I think even if you don't like slow rides, it's got plenty of charm, uh, especially if you're a Nintendo fanatic.
How long is the people mover, the
The
Yoshi
People
people
Mover, that was tough to say because
mover?
mine stopped a few times. I would say 3 to 5 minutes
Okay.
total content on
Okay.
there. It's a slow moving ride. It goes around the perimeter of Nintendo Land, so
Yeah.
you've got a lot of ground to cover.
So they cause I figured they extended it because it was in Florida versus the one in
No, it
Osaka.
doesn't go into Donkey Kong Land. It just
It doesn't.
stays
Okay. Okay.
within the Mario themed part of it.
Okay. Okay. So they didn't extend it out to Donkey Kong. Land. I figured they would extend it out because it's bigger and they like, oh, we can make it longer.
No, well, they didn't. So the Donkey Kong Minecart Madness. The whole gimmick here is that you're in a minecart that jumps across broken tracks, just like the
Mm-hmm.
Super Nintendo game. That's a real cool illusion. But holy hell, that ride is herky jerky. If you do not like being shaken, and I mean this across all dimensions, like sort of herky jerky moving forward, herky jerky side to side, herky jerky up and down.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as dizzying as the Dr. Seuss, sorry, the Cat in the Hat ride, but
Okay.
this is a one and done ride for me. I saw it the once, I'm like, ugh, I'm too old
No.
to
So
ride this
so
one again.
so don't be holding your bowels if you're going onto this ride.
Oh,
Maybe
heck,
not.
we didn't need all that. So
Yeah, just checking, just checking.
that,
No, that's the thing. That is the thing. That is the
okay,
thing in
You got to
theme
be mindful
parks.
about that.
You have to be mindful of it. That is the thing.
we don't need all that, y'all.
Trust me. There's a lot of things you have to make sure they can clean up the cars and pull the cars off. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. Uh, I feel like there was some rooms that were under themed, but it's nice to
Okay.
see animatronic of the Donkey Kong crew. So in the queue, you've got
Mhm.
Cranky Kong and the parrot, and then in the ride, you've got uh, uh, it's not Trixie. Damn, the girl one with the beret. Diddy and Donkey Kong there. This one, they market it as a family friendly coaster. You get some G's there, and there's some steep drops aside from the herky jerky stuff. So I don't know. You got to be prepared for some thrilling times on that if you're bringing mom and dad, grandma and grandpa on there. Um, but yeah, I feel like this is one where you can see some budget cuts in like the queuing area. It's not as
Mm,
elaborately themed as like Mario
Mm,
Kart or
mhm.
Yoshi. Uh, but it has its own dedicated land. One thing I will say about Super Nintendo World in general is that place is dense. It's over visually or overwhelming, and holy hell, there's a lot of stairs everywhere. Everywhere, stairs in the queues, all of the queues in the
Mhm.
overall land. So,
Yeah.
be prepared for that.
Did you play the game?
I played some of the games, but I
Okay.
prioritized going on rides, so
Okay.
I didn't
that
like
makes sense.
maximize
You didn't
my
fight the
time.
piranha plant?
I didn't fight the piranha plant. I went into the swamp room and had no idea how to engage with that game.
Okay.
Definitely did not collect all the keys.
Okay. You get to play with keys.
Like I said, I minimized the dilly dallying because I knew if whenever I went again, I could play stuff and look
Okay.
at stuff outside of the
Yeah.
rides. But I needed to make the most of my time with the
Okay.
reduced crowd capacity and
Did you
the
punch a
reduced.
punch a question block?
Of course, I punched several of them.
And they felt
I got
good,
the
didn't they?
Excuse me.
They felt good too, didn't they?
I was happy to see that it has a squishy bottom
Mm-hmm.
when you punched it.
Okay.
Um, I will say, Dole Whip is a Disney staple, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then in the Donkey Kong Land, they have a pineapple banana swirl
Mm.
with toffee crumbles and caramel popcorn in a waffle bowl inside of a pineapple Fanta uh, drink.
That
Wow,
sounds
that
And
sounds
delicious.
that's so
delicious.
tropically delicious. That had such a long line, guys.
I bet it did.
This this kiosk sells only this with the optional souvenir cup,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but it's only that. And the line was stretched to the entrance
Yeah, because
of
you
the
could take all
minecart
my
ride.
money. That
It's a
sounds
real treat.
that sounds
Yeah.
so delicious. So
Yes.
you mentioned next time. What is it? Would you want the next time you visit? Is this going to be a main attraction for you to want to go to this land?
Um, I think I want to fill in the gaps of the things that I didn't yet do. And full disclosure, I was one of the lead gameplay designers of the Minion shooting game, Villain Con, that
Mm-hmm.
people mostly don't like, but one of the key things there is returnability. And we do some of that through upgrading of your weapon. Now, in Super Mario Land, Super Nintendo world, they have a app that you create a profile on, but it's mostly just checking off that you did the different activities there. And same with Donkey Kong. So they extended the treasure hunt, sort of scanning scavenger hunt thing for Donkey Kong Land. Um, but there is no building on top of your progress. So, personally, I don't feel as much compulsion to return and build off of my progress because there is no progress to build off of. It's just a checklist of of uh, of things to hit.
Okay. Yeah,
So
right. I want to see the photo of the drink.
mhm, that drink photo, I put it in the chat. That drink photo looks amazing.
All right. So what other lands? So let's see. We did Dark Universe. Okay. So the Isle of Berk.
Oliver,
I'm not
yep.
like in super enormous How to Train Your Dragon fan, but like I said
Mm-hmm.
earlier, I think this is like the highlight land of the whole park,
Really?
and I think overall has probably the best stuff in it aside
Mm.
from whatever you're looking at. So there's
The little dragon coming
animatronics
out,
everywhere.
toothless coming out.
Uh, I didn't go see Toothless. I didn't see the little babies, but I saw videos
Ah,
online of those. Those guys look adorable. I
mm-hmm.
didn't run into any character actors. This is
Okay.
another one where I was like hustling, hauling ass to make the last showtime of the day for the
Okay.
stage show. And so that's what I'm going to talk about, the Untamable Dragon. So I thought this was going to largely be a downsized version of the live, not Broadway, but like touring stage show that they did. And it kind of is, but it also kind of isn't. So this is a musical. You've got live drummers, at least two live vocalists dancing, singing, of the stage actors. It's cheesy, it's a simple story and whatever, but uh unlike the giant beasts of Fantastic Beasts,
Uh-huh.
the Cirque Arcanu, this one is free roaming the stage and it gets big. It is so mighty impressive. There is a surprise that I don't really want to,
Don't
but
ruin,
I
don't
think you
ruin
can
it, don't
guess.
Oh,
ruin it.
oh, no spoilers, no
Dragons be
spoilers.
flying.
Yeah.
Dragons be flying. It's like, oh shit, this is really, really, really cool. So, like I said, as someone who loves and misses a lot of the live stage shows that have been pulled from parks over the years,
Mm,
this personally is the highlight for me. I love Stardust Racers, the central roller coaster in
mm.
the park, but I don't know. I feel like if I was going to make my top list, this show, The Untamable Dragon, is the top of that list, honestly speaking. And I'm not even, like I said, not even a huge How to Train Your Dragon fan. And the songwriting is corny, sure, sure is, but like if we're talking about wow moments that everyone can enjoy, I think this is
How
it.
to Train Your Dragon is
How to
it?
Train Your Dragon. I also rode the roller coaster that they have there. Uh, uh, when we first set off from the station, it goes into this bare bones area. I'm like, oh no, this looks like Legoland. They forgot to theme this area. Then we took a turn and we're like, oh, everything is themed. There's so much theming, so much decoration here. This
Mm-hmm.
one doesn't do an inversion, but still gets some high G's. Uh, I would say that it is a notch or two above the extremeness of Slinky Dog Racer. If
Okay.
for the people who went to Hollywood Studios, who know that
That is a
one,
very smooth ride
yeah,
too. Slinky Dog Racers is super smooth.
yeah, like it's a junior coaster, but still got plenty of
Mm-hmm.
thrills, plenty to
Mm-hmm.
deliver for the people. So I highly recommend that one. I didn't do the flying thing, didn't get the chance to do that. They've also got a play park area there for the youngins, but even though I'm like clearly a big Nintendo fan, this Isle of Berk is the one that I said wow at most. So
Hmm.
because of all of like the hand built wooden and stone stuff and like the little dragon features, there's so much variety of stuff to look at. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
when you're looking at Nintendo Land, it's a lot of the same geometric features with characters on top, right? So you got a lot of primary colors, and but they're mostly boxy shaped except for the characters. And then when you're looking at Paris, it looks like a
Mm-hmm.
city. Like that's an achievement by itself,
Mm.
right? But it's mostly gray colors with some pops of color. And it looks very samey unless you are wandering around with your wand and like really looking in the windows. So like you have a lot of lean in order to find the engagement in the Paris area, the Harry Potter land. But then in Isle of Berk, you can just lean back and just appreciate the vista around you. Turn over here, you turn over there. Things look different. A lot of variety of stuff happening there. And then Darkmoor, it's Scary Village, more gray. So like two of the five lands are here's a bunch of gray stuff
Mm-hmm.
that you've seen before.
Oh, I have a question.
Yep.
How's their berm? Have they built a really good berm? Because
No,
Universal's
no,
berms are never really that
no.
good.
What do you guys mean
No
by berm? Sorry for the uninitiated. What do you mean by berm?
walls.
Okay.
The
The
separations
walls,
of the land to create the illusion
separation of
that I am
lands.
in this land. There is
Yeah.
nothing else outside.
Okay.
They know
No, no.
what?
The best one is in Harry Potter Land because it is tall city
Yeah, tall
buildings,
city
right?
buildings. Yeah.
But then Dark Moor's pretty okay because it's got its own corner. But
Okay.
even within like Super Nintendo world and especially in Donkey Kong, you can see over the edge. And
Okay.
Isle of Berk,
Dang.
while they have some elevated features, I think just generally their horizon is lower than everything else. So you can absolutely see the Stardust Racers in the background and see beyond the park. You can
Mm.
see the Helios Hotel. That one's the absolute worst with in regards to the berm.
So Randy, when you go to Disney, the most important thing they created was the berm. So when you go into a land, you're in that land. There's nothing you can't see anything. You can't see outside that land. So when you go to Batu, the Star Wars land, you're in Batu. You can't look over and see Adventureland. You can't see Tomorrowland. You can't see any of that. You can't see any of the other lands. You just see Batu. And Universal's always had a horrible burn. And then you would think like when you go to Hogwarts, like in Florida, and you would think you look over Hogwarts, you see the Hulk ride, and you're like, man, if they had a burn there, this would be a whole lot better. That
Okay.
illusion, it builds the illusion you're actually in this place.
I got you.
And I figured they would learn that and do that for Epic Universe because they've always talked about that. And I'm like, oh, I guess they didn't do it.
So I've got a little more thoughts on that. Like
Okay.
this hub and spoke design where there's a central area, and to go into anything, you go down a spoke into a little branch, right?
Yeah.
This is very similar to Epcot. And for people who know the history of Epcot, there were intended to be like twice as many countries.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have currently is pretty much the every other country. So they have the benefit of having actual spatial distance between between the different countries to help sell the illusion rather than having a tall object right where the fence line would
Mm-hmm.
be between them. Um, Burke suffers from having the Stardust Racers coasters occupy that dividing space that would be between it and the Ministry of Magic area.
Okay.
However, uh, the other lands do have the separation, except for Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario World, which are directly adjacent. So you can, like I said, you can see Donkey
Yeah.
Kong Country directly. And then, of course, for Darkmoor, Dark Universe, and Ministry of Magic. Those are the ones that are closest to the Grand Helios Hotel, which is, I don't know how many stories, but it's a very tall hotel, so it's able to peak just above where they put their berms there.
Okay.
Celestial Park, the part in the center, doesn't have a lot of shade. They've got plants there, but those will take years to grow. But though that's not the area where you want to be hiding the visibility, because you want to have the wieners, the portals,
Yeah.
like sticking up in all over
Okay.
the horizon to draw your attention towards the different
So the
lands.
portals are the weenies?
The portals are the weenies, yeah. And then
Interesting.
each land has like a feature thing in the center
So
to draw your
so
attention.
so weenies, what we're speaking of Randy, is the tallest point that you can point to. You can always tell people meet me there or see there. And tall points, people are naturally drawn to them, so you'll walk towards it.
Okay.
Like
To
carrot
actually
on a
connect.
stick, but like a
Yeah.
hot dog on a
Hot
stick to
dog.
like
Yeah.
draw your
Yeah.
attention. Yeah, yeah.
It came from Disney with the weenie cart, right? Where they used to sell hot dogs and the smell of hot dogs would lure people or something like that. They call them weenies.
Okay.
Let's see. Rodney's asking how are things at night. So I spent the majority of my sundown time in Celestial, well, in the line at Stardust Racers. So sundown happened pretty late yesterday, so I didn't get to appreciate much of the stuff. It looks so I can't comment too much on that. What I will say is Stardust Racers is a dueling coaster with a lot of lights on it. So as it goes up and down all the different hills, you see two trails of light, like comets, going through the sky. That's real pretty. I rode the carousel earlier in the day, but I understand that looks really pretty. Oh, hey, look, my background. Uh, that looks really good at night. The carousel has this sort of waltz type thing where there's like four axes of movement for each of the things that you can ride. So it's
Dope.
got the up and down, it's got rotation around the pole, but then the floor is subdivided. So you've got the bigger overall circle where everything is also rotating, but then
Dope.
within it, there's subcircles so that the things within there are spinning as well, all at a very gentle rate. You're not going to get dizzy on this, but that gives it the illusion of a waltz dance of going in
Mm-hmm.
and out and in and
Okay.
out and rotating. And
So it's a real dense illusion with
yeah, yeah.
all the other platters around you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
What I will say is, if you do care about that in and out axis of movement, you need to pick your astrological creature carefully, because there's some that are not on the interior platters that
Mm.
won't do the in and out movement. They'll just have their own individual rotation in the up and down, and of course the bigger circle. Um, Now, Stardust Racers, this is the successor to Dueling Dragons, which was a fan
Yeah.
favorite at Islands of Adventure, that they had to stop dueling because people were getting hurt or doing silly shit. So when I say dueling
Yes.
coasters, this is two separate
Yes.
coasters that are running at the same time. And oh my God, this took my breath away, like physically. Maybe this is just like long COVID and my asthma acting up, but I came off the coaster both times and I was like short of breath, but very good, very exhilarating. And it has so much interplay between the two as they like go over top of each other, twisting like this, and then spiraling around each other so many multiples of times.
Mm.
What's the phrase for like finger chopper, hand choppers, or whatever? There's so many moments where it's like, man, I could just reach out and touch these people. Of course, they very carefully measure the distances between these things to make sure no one can actually hurt themselves. Uh, But yeah, it's one has a lot of bunny hills, so you get a lot of the zero G sensations
Mm.
on
A
it,
lot of
but then also a
drops.
lot of extremely high G stuff as it banks around stuff and dives. I would say the Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure
Hmm.
still feels more dangerous to ride, but these roller coasters, Velocicoaster and Stardust Racers, I would say are at the same like extreme level of coaster. Psychologically, I care very much about the restraint system of roller coasters. Like I feel more trustworthy when I have the shoulder over the shoulder harnesses. This one is a lap. It's not a lap belt,
Harness.
but I don't feel as secure with just that. So I had to hold on for my first ride and feel like, do I feel secure in this just being held into the
Hmm.
ride by my thighs? Like, will
You
I
throw your
get
hands
sucked
up.
out? I did. Like, after the first like 20 seconds, I'm like, okay, what are the constraints of this thing? Like, I trusted him, like, all right,
Mm.
hands free for the second ride. So there's two colors for the different sides. There's yellow and green. Green, they say, is more extreme. I'd say
Mm. You
they
don't like that
largely have the
expression.
same features.
Hmm.
And because I rode green first when I was still feeling insecure about the restraints, I don't know that that it truly felt more extreme than the yellow.
Okay.
But,
And
that's what
you
they
said you
say.
rode it twice. Is you mean you got two separate rides on it,
Two
or did they
separate
switch
rides.
tracks?
So I did
Okay.
one
They don't
in the
switch
daytime.
tracks on you?
uh,
Like you
they
ride the
each
green
have
track,
their
then the yellow track,
individual
then
tracks and they do
okay,
not
okay.
swap
They don't
mid
swap.
ride. So if you
Okay.
want both sides, you need to ride multiple times.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I rode one during the daytime, one during the nighttime. Both of them were beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's probably the real true crown jewel of the park,
Okay.
is that roller coaster. But it is very aggressive, and I do think there will be many people who won't be able to ride it just because of um, because because their bodies might not be able to
Yeah,
take it.
not gonna be able to take it. Yeah. So
Interesting.
this is not the Velocicoaster because I'm pretty sure they don't have you going through a metal
They
detector.
do. So this is the one
Do
ride where they have the
they?
metal detector. Okay,
Oh,
so let me just
oh,
go with
they
the overall thing.
do.
One thing that I
Oh.
this park is certainly next generation in regards to its, I don't know if it's amenities, but
Mm.
unlike the other Universal parks, there's certainly more shade in the queue areas.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go through all of the extended queue areas because we had abbreviated wait times because of the reduced park capacity. But from the portions that I saw, it seemed like there was more overhanging shade and also fans and misters in circulation. There was a lot more water fountains and or bottle fillers within the ride queues.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So they're really promoting that. And then what else? What else? What else? Um, the locker system I really like because in most of the older rides in Universal on the other two parks, the lockers are outside the line. So if you're going to put anything in the locker, like your phone or your backpack, of course, you do that before you get in line, and then you're stuck maybe without your phone or your entertainment or snacks or drinks for like an
Mm-hmm.
hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, however long the ride is. But here, all of the rides are near the loading area of or all of the lockers are near the loading area of the ride. So you can have your backpack with your snacks, your entertainment, your drinks, your phone, and whatever. And then you put your thing in the locker. They're free. They're biometric. They're also larger. So instead of the mail slot size one, they're like
Mm-hmm.
double height. So it's not huge, but it can fit uh, a decent sized small backpack. It's not
Okay.
going to fit a jumbo backpack, but if you get one of those 10-liter, maybe 15-liter backpacks, then
It'll
they'll
fit
stuff
it.
in there just fine.
Okay.
And then once you're off the ride, then you just scan your face again and open it up. But yeah, they did the metal detector thing there because like I said, this is the same extreme level as Velocicoaster, and Velocicoaster is another one where they have metal detectors. And I think that's one because of the velocity of it, and any flying
Dang it,
projectile
kill
could be
somebody.
really
Yeah,
dangerous.
it could kill
I
somebody.
don't think it's because of liability of loss of expensive things, because a lot of the other
Mm-mm.
coasters cover just as much ground and are just as much of a pain in the ass to try to hunt down whatever a guest might have
Yeah,
lost.
yeah. It's to make sure nobody gets hit.
Yeah.
That's why the Velocicoaster runs over water too, just in case something does fly off, it doesn't kill anybody.
It,
I have
a
not had
good
the
look.
benefit of going to the roller coaster parks of like the middle of America, but holy hell, Velocicoaster is like the most dangerous roller coaster I've ridden, or dangerous
Hmm.
feeling.
Yes,
Let's see. Rodney said, "How's it at night? Any fireworks or shows?" So no fireworks. They do have a firework area, so I think they're planning to do a night show
the
eventually, but
drones.
there wasn't one or drones,
Hmm.
especially if they're not currently being sued by the state for hitting a kid, as happened in Lake Eola. I think it's the same company operating them, but yeah, everyone's moving to drones because they're more controllable, right? And you can just recharge their batteries instead of buying fireworks from China. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's tariffs on that now.
yeah. Throughout the
We
day,
already covered that story. So
throughout the day, there's a clamshell amphitheater near the water fountain where they've
Hmm.
got live performers, and a lot of snack shacks are just around the big circle. The center of Celestial Park is a massive water fountain with a
Hmm.
show there. So it's not like a show, but it's the water fountains moving around, tied to music, that's running all day at certain intervals. I don't know how often it runs, maybe every hour, maybe every half
Hmm.
hour, but you can
Okay.
just sit by the water and relax and enjoy that. And then at night they have light and color added to the dancing water.
Okay. Okay. I was wondering if they had light and color as well to the water.
Let's see. Twan's asking any Zelda or Kirby Easter eggs. No for Kirby. For Zelda, yeah. So they got some stained glass stuff and some decorations in the Nintendo shop that's outside of Super Nintendo World. They are soon to open a Super Nintendo World store at City Walk by the
Hmm.
main complex. I don't know if they'll have anything there. Don't know anything about that. Miyamoto snuck Pikmin all over Super Nintendo World, so you can look out for those little guys
Yeah.
everywhere. I don't think there's any interactivity that ties into your account with the power up band related to them because a lot of them are like
Hmm.
tucked away off in the distance where you can't actually touch them or get close to them.
Hmm.
But they're calling it Super Nintendo World, not Super Mario World. So
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
well,
Things are gonna come. It's gonna be weird though, cause I want to be in Hyrule and be able to look and see Mario World, and what a missed opportunity of actually going through like a Nintendo console and popping out at another
mhm.
Nintendo console, going
Man,
from
when I
world to
went into the
world.
Princess's Castle and I
Mm-hmm.
saw the Mario 64
Mm-hmm.
paintings on the wall, I went up to touch it to see if it would ripple. It didn't ripple.
It would have been great, wouldn't it? Would have been great, wouldn't it?
Would have been great. I know
Mm,
everybody
mm,
expects that. Anyone who had an N64 is like, oh, I'm going to walk
mm.
up to this and try to jump in. I know I can't jump in. Let's see it do something though.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Oh,
Yeah.
one thing, I don't know. This is a weird techie thing. So each of the portals has like an LED wall as the archway. And
Mm-hmm.
I know generally they don't want you touching these things. Like they generate a lot of heat, but it's just right there for you to like place your hand on or lean on. I don't know. That feels like a liability issue.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
It's not touchable. I figure everything in the portal that people are gonna run up and touch it anyway.
well, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's
People
not
see
blocked
screens,
off.
they
It's
touch
just
screens.
exposed for you to just like tab or touch or lean on or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So it's
It's
like
not
screens are
behind a
gonna be
plastic
replaced.
barrier or
It's
anything
not
like that.
protected screen. Mm.
No.
Oh, it's gonna be interesting. Oh my
Yeah.
God, how they gonna handle water when it rains in Florida?
When it rains. So today, as I understand,
Yeah.
I was so lucky. I looked at the forecast and like it threatened to rain yesterday, but today the
Mm.
rain came down and a lot of the rides were shut down. The majority of the rides, like I said, are thrill ride roller coasters, and like especially because Florida is the lightning capital of the U.S. Uh, they take this very seriously and shut down roller coasters during
Mm-hmm.
storms. So I don't know what they're going to do. There's not a lot of indoor
Yeah.
stuff to do. There's of course like the eateries and the stores, but you've got the shows that are indoors. You got Mario Kart that's indoors. You've got the Monsters Unchained that's indoors. Ministry of Magic, like I said, 7 hour line. Maybe everybody gets in line for Ministry of
Yeah.
Magic,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess
Okay.
we'll find out soon enough
We'll
how
find
well
out.
that place can sustain stuff. But like like I also said, a lot of the queue areas have shading over them. Some of it is tree, but a lot of it is tarps or
Yeah.
actual like gazebos or like building material type stuff.
Okay. Uh,
Twan's asking they need to add Hyrule Land and a Smash Brothers ride. What would a Smash Brothers ride be? Are you just got rock'em sock'em gloves punching each other? What do you
that'd be
want from this?
fun.
What do you want from this?
You want Spider-Man web slingers.
No, the answer is no. Speaking from
Yeah.
experience as someone whose
It's
ride
the
is
best.
you have to hold a
Ah.
weapon and blast it at a screen for 5 minutes.
It's
I know
hard.
people don't want
That's
that.
hard.
You
That's
think you
hard.
want it,
Nah, you don't. You don't
but in
want it.
practice, no.
Yeah, it's hard. It's tough. Yeah, your ride was tough. I don't get it.
I was really shocked on Reddit. I was looking for some Epic Universe tips, and I saw some defenders. I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah.
weird.
Some people like it. I know people that love it.
Yeah,
Um, Thank you, Dafunk, for coming in
yeah.
and talking to us about Epic
Yeah,
Universe.
man, this was
We're
great.
at 8:15, so we're at time. Thank you for coming on and sharing with us your experience and going to the park before everybody else.
Yeah, this dope.
Yeah,
Uh,
I bit that bullet for you. That was,
yeah, I'm glad you bit that bullet for me. And you got your Yoshi hat on and your Yoshi
power up.
power puck. So yeah, so that's exciting. You gonna pick up the other ones too?
No, 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 no.
What?
Maybe if they put out an anniversary one. I saw they have 1 year golden anniversary ones for Japan and Hollywood.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
I'll go back and pick that up if they do. If they do like a Koopa Troopa one, maybe because
I'm gonna send you to the park to go get the anniversary one. I didn't get
okay,
an
okay, okay,
anniversary
okay,
one. I'm
okay,
gonna send you to get the anniversary one. I'm excited about
okay.
that. Or I just come and just,
All
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
go through the line and go through this with you. Did you get a season pass for it?
No, no, no. They do not yet offer it as part of the season
Okay,
pass.
okay, okay. I was wondering if they're gonna offer it already. Thank you for coming on the show and explaining your experience through Epic Universe. When you suggested, I was like, that'd be amazing. Actually, let's talk about that because I know that you went. Um, Randy, anything you want to share with the people?
Next week, binge worthy. We're doing Tales of the Underworld. So after Geek Beast, come back and join us for our review of Tales of the Underworld.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in, and being a part of this with us. Thank you, Twan. Thank you, Dragonborn VR. Thank you, Centel. Thank you, Mark, for always tuning in. If, like we say,
Mm-hmm.
share us, like us, and comment. Put some activity on us because we're trying to raise our numbers up even more. I've already liked this post. Y'all should like it. And if you want to listen to us, we're also on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and anywhere you can find your podcast as well. We're there as well. So you can listen to us in audible form or always come to YouTube or Facebook or Twitch and watch us Monday, Wednesday, Friday live. Shout out to Digital Click for handling all our marketing materials. Shout out to Rodney for being our technical producer and our director and creator for all our shorts. He's been crushing the short game. So if you see a short out there on YouTube, like it, share it, comment about it, do whatever you need to do. And reels everywhere. We're there. And we'll see you guys on Friday
Hey,
with happy
happy
hour.
hour. Yep.
Peace.
See ya.